Welcome back to the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Decker team. I'm Ken Decker.
And I'm Yetta Decker, and we're really happy that you're here to join us one more time. And let's hope we're going to learn some great stuff today.
Yeah, today we're going to talk about investing in real estate.
And Ken, tell me a little bit about why invest in real estate specifically, because I think I've had financial plans done. I've talked to a lot of financial planners, and they usually tell me I'm pretty diversified already, and yet we generally haven't talked about real estate. So can you address that a little bit?
Yeah, that's a great question. Mutual funds came out in probably around in the 80s, and what my dad used to tell me was, don't invest in the stock market unless you can afford to lose the money. I don't know if your dad told you that. And then these mutual funds came out, which are basically just a group of people mutually pooling their money and buying a group of stocks on the stock market. And they felt they were much more secure because they were diversified. And you would have a professional pick your stocks that would go into that mutual fund. And then on top of that, they said, okay, let's buy a small cap mutual fund, a large cap mutual fund, mutual funds that are global, mutual funds that are foreign, Canadian mutual funds. So we felt very diversified. The only thing is, all those eggs, whether they're robin's eggs, ostrich's eggs, and chicken eggs, they're all in the same basket. And when that basket crashed, we call that the stock market, everyone's eggs got broken. So what I suggest is that we diversify not just in our mutual funds, because mutual funds in themselves are not bad. People should invest in that type of product, but also get into real estate type products that are backed with a solid real estate product.
Okay. Yeah. So how did you get from the place of really believing mutual funds and that kind of thing were the way to go to believing that real estate was safe?
Well, let's look at the 10-year rate of return on the stock market is pretty sad right now. It's probably maybe just a little above zero for 10 years. If we look at the history of real estate, we kind of average between 5 and 6% every year. If we look even going back 30, 40, 50 years, especially in the Ottawa market, which is a very, very stable market. We're a government town, we have high tech, we're a clean town, and we're also one of the towns or cities in Canada that for several years running has been rated number 1 or number 2 city in Canada to live. So it's a great stable market.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and people go, well, 5, 6%.
Yeah,
that's not enough.
It doesn't sound like a lot, Ken.
It's not. But the beauty with real estate is it's leverageable.
Well, what do you mean by leverageable? Because,
well, okay, well, if you, let's say you have $20,000 and you went to put that into the stock market, that $20,000 you would invest in companies, and then as they went up, if they went up 5 or 10%, you'd make 5 or 10% on your $20,000.
All right. So if I had $20,000 and it went up 10% in the course of a year, let's say it did do that, which sounds like that certainly happened. I've seen some of those returns myself. Mm-hmm. So if I had a stock that went up 10% in 1 year, and I had invested $20,000, I would have earned, what's that? $2,000.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, if I take that same $20,000 and I leverage it and I put it into real estate.
Now, is $20,000 enough to put into real estate?
Well, it depends. If it's your first house, then it might be plenty. It depends on how much the property is going to be that you're buying. If it's an investment property, we recommend 20% down. So that would only buy you a $100,000 house, which they're really hard. Well, they're impossible to come by in Ottawa.
Unless you go out far enough, I understand. I have taken some of my young clients or even folks that want to live out in the country a little bit out far enough that we have got some pretty nice spaces for $100,000. Mm-hmm.
So I'm just using $20,000 because it's an easy number. You might need $40,000 to get into real estate business, investing business. Now, the beauty is, let's say we get a 5% rate of return because that's easy. And we put down 20% on the property. So now 5% on 20% is actually multiplied by 5. So we're actually getting a 25% rate of return. And that may seem hard to understand. And that's why I hold an investing in real estate class once a month. We do a workshop and I explain and I do live examples of properties and exactly what rate of return you might expect based on past history. We can never project and guarantee the future, of course.
Right. So what you're really saying with that example is, if I put my 20,000 down, let's say I do find a property that's $100,000.
Right.
I put my 20% down, which is, or 20,000 down, which
Right.
is 10%. No.
No, that
Yep.
would be 20%.
Okay.
So if we have a $100,000 house and the market goes up 10%, like we, or
Right.
5%, sorry, 5%. So that really, 5% on $100,000 is how much?
Well, $20,000.
No,
Oh, five.
it's $5,000.
$5,000.
Okay, so our $20,000, instead of making $2,000 in the stock market at 10%, we're making
Right.
$5,000 on that $20,000. Okay, at 5%. So $5,000 on a $20,000 investment is 25% rate of return.
Okay, I understand what you're
Okay?
saying now.
That's the power of leverage. Now, the beauty with real estate is more than just growth, because that's growth. Then we can have income, because most of these properties that we're recommending to buy, they'll be rented out and they'll actually be cash flow. So the tenant's paying the mortgage, paying all the expenses, and quite often there's a little bit extra each month. So that's the second way. And then the third way is, I don't know if you've ever rented. I rented when I was younger. And when I was renting, actually, I never got my landlord to reduce the rent.
He never did?
Never. It always went up. So there's appreciation in the rental income as we go up. So I always recommend to my investors that they lock in a 5 or a 10-year mortgage so that their rates are not going up, their payments aren't going up. And then the beauty of that is you're protected. Your rates aren't going to go up, your payments not going to go up, and your rent's going up. So you're going to get more cash flow. You're paying down your mortgage, so you have appreciation there, and then you have capital growth on the amount of, as the market goes up. So I love real estate because you actually have 3 ways of making money on it.
All right. And Ken, how did you initially learn about real estate? And maybe even more than how did you learn, what were your experiences when you first got into the real estate investing market?
Yeah, well, I always wanted to have investment properties, and I actually started buying investment properties before I was a realtor. And there I had to learn from the School of Hard Knocks. I got a degree from the School of Hard Knocks.
And how much did that cost you?
Actually, it was priceless. So yeah, I lost a little bit of money, and also had one tenant that kind of wrecked one of the properties. And
I remember that. It was more than kind of wrecked.
Okay, so I had to fix it, and I actually went, and got the money back from the tenant for the damage they caused. So it wasn't all that bad, but it was a great learning experience. And over the years, I've rented to lots of wonderful tenants and helped other people find great tenants for their properties as well. So that's, and so through my years of experience in real estate and helping others, as well as being a landlord and owning property myself, that's where I've gotten my experience.
Okay, but if I didn't want to manage tenants, because it sounds like you've had a bad experience, and okay, you said that was before you were a realtor. However, I'm assuming you've had a couple of rough experiences since then as well. And so how would I take care of ensuring that I don't have that problem?
Okay, well, one is you can, again, use the services of a realtor who is familiar with investing in real estate and in selecting tenants. You can become a professional, knowledgeable person around the Tenant Protection Act, which is named that way because it's designed to protect tenants, not necessarily the landlord. But the landlord does have rights under the Tenant Protection Act, and we want to know what our rights are so that we can make the right decisions. Now, the other option, if you're really, you want to put money in the stock market and you just forget about it because you have a money manager, you can do the same thing in real estate. You might reduce your return slightly because now you have a manager managing your property, collecting the rent, calling someone if the toilet needs fixing or whatever. So it's really hands-off. So your return may slightly be reduced because you have an extra expense, but the amount of hands-on work is hugely reduced. So a lot of my investors choose that avenue.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I just bought a building about 6 months ago, you're aware of.
Yes, I am.
And we're presently renovating it. We have, it's going to have 11 tenancies in the one building. And I've hired a property manager so that I don't have to be dealing with collecting rent and that type of thing. So it's really helpful.
Okay. And in terms of the whole investing thing, I can't really just forget about the fact that a lot of people are really uncomfortable with it. And part of it is the whole tenant thing. Part of it is just the uncertainty, even interest rates changing. And maybe when I need to renew my mortgage, I don't know what it's going to be. So how would I go about getting peace of mind that I would feel comfortable? Because I'm assuming you wouldn't want anybody to invest in real estate that didn't have peace of mind.
Absolutely not. And there's two different strategies in real estate. One is investing, and the other is speculation. Now, speculation is like when I buy a piece of land and I'm speculating that in 5 to 10 years the city's going to grow past that land and it's going to increase in value a lot. That would be speculating. Another type of speculation would be buying, say, a unit in a condominium building that hasn't been built or won't be built for 2 to 3 years. I'm speculating that in 2 to 3 years the value of the property will be higher, and when it is higher I can sell it or rent it at that time. And the beauty with that is I've put in small amount of down payment, and usually it's staggered over two-month periods or something, and I'm going to put maybe 15% down, which is that leverage again. And then when the property is finally built 2-3 years down the road, we've had 5% growth over the 3 years. That's about 15, 16, 17% with compounding growth in the value. And then because we've leveraged it and we only put 15% down, we're going to get around a 30% rate of return per year on that. So we're going to double our money in about 3 years. It's pretty exciting.
That doesn't sound too bad.
No. One thing to consider is, will there be a market for those condominium products at the end? There's a lot of people doing this, a lot of people buying them, and they're building a lot of condominiums downtown and all around the city. So that's why it's speculative, because we don't know what the value is going to be. It's always safer to buy something that's existing, put a tenant in it at a rental rate that I can already predetermine because I know what that type of property is renting for today, make sure I cash flow, and then that takes a lot of the risk out of the process. There's never an investment that has no risk. Some people say that you could invest in a GIC in the bank or a high interest, that's an oxymoron, a high interest savings account, and they go, that's safe. Well, to me, that's the most unsafe investment you could ever make.
No, Ken, it is safe. I mean, I don't want to have an argument with you right here on video or right here on the air, but when you say I can put it in a GIC, I put it in a high interest rate savings account, and you say 2-3% probably today.
Oh, I don't think you'll get that high today.
Okay, well, maybe 1%. That's safe. It's not going anywhere. The Bank of Canada is going to keep that safe for me. Why do you say it's not safe?
Well, yes, when you go back, you'll have that money and you'll have it with interest because there is insurance on it and the banks are very safe in Canada. But it's guaranteed to lose money. That's why I call it not safe.
What do you mean it's guaranteed to lose money? It's just worth more than it was when I put it in.
Yes, but you got to calculate the rate of inflation. And the rate of inflation, typically, the government's trying to keep it around 2-3%. That's what they consider a fair rate of inflation. So if you put that money in there for 10 years and it increased by, your 1 or 2%.
Well, so maybe I'm at 12, 13, 14%.
Yeah. So, but now that money, when you take it out, can't buy what it used to be able to buy. So it's actually decreased in value.
That doesn't sound like a lot of fun.
That's why I say it's very risky, because you're guaranteed to lose money.
Okay.
All right? Yeah.
Now, if you are thinking that buying property that is not built yet, you were saying the condominium market is one opportunity. What are other ways that you could do that?
Well, there's some different products out there. We can go to developing areas like Belize or other countries. You could invest in something to be built there. One of the safest ones that I love is going to a new home builder that's building maybe townhouses and buying that townhouse, because we know that the townhouse market is always going to be strong, because that's where our first-time buyers typically buy, because they're affordable, they're convenient, they're easy to maintain, they're less to heat because you don't have 4 outside walls, and so it's just a great product. I also know what it's going to rent for, and I don't have condominium payments each month, which really reduce how much rent I'm getting because I have to pay my condominium fee. Whereas with a freehold townhouse, I don't have that. So that's another option.
Okay. And what about a nice big house? What about buying one of those and investing and renting that out?
Sure, that's an option, and I do have clients that decide they want to tap into that more luxurious market where people are paying $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month for a rental. It's a little smaller market, and it's more niche, and it's also a little tougher to resell that property because it's in the high end. The lower end properties, if the market dips or because the real estate market is cyclical, a smaller property is always easier to sell than a high-end property.
Okay, excellent. Okay. Hi, if you're just joining us now, I'm Yetta Decker with the Decker team, and Ken Decker has joined me today, and well, he joins me every day actually, with the Inside Track, and so we're hoping you'll stay tuned and listen to the rest of this particular day, which is going to be on investing in real estate.
Right.
So Ken, tell me, why I hear all this stuff about flipping real estate, flipping a house, buying a house, renovating it a little bit, and making a lot of money.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, I tried flipping a house, and I hurt my back. They're very, very heavy. So
yeah, funny.
the truth about flipping homes, it's a lot of work. Many contractors do it because they go in, they do some painting, trim work, flooring, maybe change some windows or some upgrades in the kitchen and that sort of thing, and they resell the house. Now, some are making some money, but the truth about flipping a home, it's about cash flow. It's not about building wealth. If you want to build wealth, you need to buy and hold real estate. Now, as a real estate agent, that's a silly thing for me to say, because when people want to buy and flip houses, I make money when they buy them, I make money when they sell them, and if they keep doing that, I make a lot of money. And yet, I'm here for you to see that you make a lot of money, and the way you make money in real estate is to buy and hold. There's an old saying we have in real estate. It says, don't wait to buy real estate and wait.
All right. And have you been doing that, Ken?
Yes, I've got a number of properties, and I've been able to build a significant amount of wealth through real estate. And that's one of the reasons I'm here sharing about what to do to get into real estate as your, whether it's your first investment or your 10th investment. And I've even got a system that I can show you based on past rates of returns that you can buy a house right now by either leveraging the equity you have in your home, in other words, giving your home a job, or by having cash saved up. You can buy a house, and then every 5 years, we can buy another investment house without you putting in another single dime. So what that's saying is, year 1, we buy a house. Year 5, we buy another house. So how many houses do we own?
2.
Okay. So year 10, we leverage those 2 houses, and we buy how many?
2.
Yes, so now we have 4 homes.
Right.
At year 15, we have 4 homes, we re-leverage, and we buy how many?
I guess another 4.
Another 4, so now we have 8 homes.
Right.
So at year 20, we're able to buy another 8 homes, which means we have 16 homes. I can show you how to make a couple $1 million in real estate in 20 years with just one initial investment. That's the power of real estate.
Does it really work?
Yes, it really works. It really does. You'll have to come out to my financial investment seminar on real estate to see exactly. I'll work out an example and I'll show you exactly how much based on previous historical rates of return in Ottawa. Now, Ottawa is averaging about 6% over the last 50 years. We've had 5 years where values in Ottawa actually went down. They didn't go down very much, but our average over 60 years is 6%.
Wow. So to find out about that, they would join you at an investor workshop. I've heard you talking about that. When is that and where is that?
I have an investor workshop the second Thursday of every month at 6 o'clock at my office at 1N Terry, Suite 110. And all you have to do is give us a call at 613-860-4663 and let us know you want to come, and we'll save you a seat. It's free. We spend about an hour and a half to 2 hours. I give you all kinds of insider information on how to handle tenants, on what properties you might look for, how to build your criteria of what you want to invest in, the whole works. It's based on the Millionaire Real Estate Investor book by Gary Keller, one of the founder of Keller Williams or Keller Williams Realty, of which we own a franchise of.
Okay. And now in terms of buying that book, if I wanted to get a little bit of education before I even came to your workshop, would that be a good idea, or how would I sort of start educating myself to feel comfortable?
Sure, you can buy that book anywhere on Amazon or any place like that. I add a lot of my personal experiences to the seminar, so I've really streamlined what we talk about. And I also offer the book for sale there at probably less than what you could buy it at a bookstore. So if you want one, I usually have them in stock at my seminar.
Okay, excellent. And can other products that are maybe RSP eligible and also real estate, is there that kind of thing out there, so that if I have some RSP money sitting, it's in the stock market, maybe it hasn't done so well the last little while, how would I go about maybe moving that to something real estate based, or can I?
Yeah. Well, the beauty with real estate is you're in a solid investment. It's hard, it's tangible, it's actually there. When you're investing in the stock market, you're investing in a company which is actually there, but just a piece of paper about that company. And that piece of paper has market fluctuations that are wildly going up and down based on people's opinion of what the stock market should be doing. So we see the stock market go up and down a lot. Housing is way more stable because people need to live in it. You can't live in a mutual fund.
You can't?
No.
Okay.
So it's much more stable. It's slow to rise, slow to fall. So it's very cool. Now, there are products that are RRSP eligible, that are RESP eligible, that are even TFSA eligible. Now, TFSA is one of the products that I talk about during, well, it's not a product, but it's a program that the government created, which is the most unutilized and most misunderstood thing that the government's given us that is fantastic for building wealth. And the TFSA, it stands for tax-free savings account. So most people think you take your money, you put it in a savings account. Remember I talked about a low rate of return from a savings account?
I did that when they first came out.
Yes.
I did.
And we had to fix that, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
So TFSA is a registered product, just like a RRSP, and you can invest in anything that you can invest in an RRSP, you can invest in a TFSA. And now that it's been 4 years out, you can actually put up to $20,000. If you've never put any money in, you can put up to $20,000 in a TFSA.
And
So
watch it grow, and I don't have to pay any tax on the growth?
Yeah, no tax on the growth. No, the money is not tax deductible when you put it in, but when you remove it and you remove the growth, there's no tax on any of it. So it's wonderful. Now, what kind of real estate products are available for that? Well, you can't buy an investment property because that's not allowed.
Right.
But you could do a mortgage, and we have some mortgage products that are eligible that are typically, about 8% rate of return with maybe some bonusing on the back end. So that's an exciting thing you can do with it. If you're what they call a sophisticated investor, which means you've meet some criteria. In Ontario, the requirement's very, very tight. Basically, you need $1 million in net worth.
Okay.
Or you need to earn $200,000 a year for the last 2 years. Or your family has to earn $300,000 combined over the last 2 years, each year. Or you have to have $150,000, $150,000 to invest. Now, there's some neat products in there. There's mortgage investment, we call them MICs, mortgage investment corporations. There are also some other trust type things, which are called a real estate investment trust, where you're in a group of people. There's a thing, I call it land banking. They don't really like the word land banking, but where a group of people are buying big chunks of land in the way of the growing city, so that's going to become development land, because that's where land actually increases the most in value, is when you change the purpose of the land and it gets developed. Farmland or they're really getting sticky on not doing it to farmland, but vacant rural land that maybe is worth $2,000-3,000 an acre when you buy a big chunk of it. Once you can develop that starts becoming worth $50,000 to $90,000 a lot, and now you can get 4, 5, 6 lots out of an acre. You can see how the value really skyrockets. So that's an interesting product that you can get into as well.
Wow, there sounds like the options are pretty much endless.
They are. There's lots of wonderful things. Another thing that some people have been starting to do is investing in the U.S. because we've seen that many of their markets are really depressed, like in Florida or Arizona or Nevada area, around Las Vegas. So you can go down there and buy a house basically at half what it was selling for 3 years ago, 5 years ago type thing. And the thing I find with investing out of country, even out of town, like if you're outside of your city, is you need really good people to look after it, because now you're in what we call an absentee landlord. You're far away from it. So it's more difficult to manage that type of property. But if that's something you're interested in, the great rental programs in some of these towns, and these are towns that, you know, as snowbirds, as Canadians, may want to retire there in the future. So it's great to maybe buy a property now while the market is depressed, rent it out, and when we're ready to retire, we'll probably own that property cash outright, and now we have a place to go for these cold winter months.
Okay, and how would you connect with a great realtor in a city that's out of your area? How would you go about helping somebody do that, Ken?
That's a great question. That's where we come in, because we're part of a great network. Keller Williams Realty is in the U.S. and it's in Canada. Actually, we're just starting to go worldwide. But we have almost 80,000 realtors between Canada and the U.S. So it doesn't matter what city you want to invest in, we'll have a contact there, and we'll be able to interview that person and make sure that they understand investing in real estate, because you don't want a real estate agent who has no experience in that, because they could get you going down the wrong path.
Right, and I know we've spent a lot of time at conferences all over Canada and the States, in fact, with other realtors, and so we have a lot of personal relationships with great investment realtors, as well as the whole interview process.
Mm-hmm. So if you want to build wealth, then real estate is a great option. And what you should do is give us a call, because we know how to make real estate work for us and work for you. And therefore, call us at 613-860-4663, and we'll either meet with you personally to discuss your specific needs, or you come on out to the workshop. It's a great place to get an introduction, then we can book a consultation after that. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us today. It's been a real treat to have you hang out with us and talk about investing in real estate, and hope you've learned a thing or two. And if there is more you'd still need to learn, then we'd love to see you on the second Thursday of every month. And the email address you could also just connect with is info@deckerteam.com, or call us 613-860-4663. Have an amazing week.
And if you have any questions for us for future shows, simply send your question to Deckerteam, that's DEKKERTEAM @chri.ca. And we look forward to answering your questions on our next show. Bye for now.